Hello and welcome back to Football Daily, where today we've constructed a team of players your club tried to buy, but are probably happy they didn't. Let's get started. Goalkeeper, Julio Cesare. Over the years, Arsenal have probably missed out on more big targets than most, with a list of players Arsene Wenger claims he nearly signed now the stuff of legend. But the 2012-13 season was a relatively good one for their transfer dealings despite losing RVP and Alex Song. They reinvested wisely, bringing in Santi Cazorla, Olivier Giroud and Nacho Monreal. But there's always one who gets away, and this time it was Julio Cesare. Still considered one of the world's best stoppers, the Brazilian had lifted the Champions League with Inter Milan 2 years earlier and looked like the man to solve Wenger's goalkeeping conundrum, which had dogged the manager since Jens Lehmann's departure in 2008. He came within inches of joining the North London club, only to have his head turned by QPR, who had already signed Jason Park from Man United, Jose Bosingwa from Chelsea, and Esteban Granero from Real Madrid. Upon arrival at Loftus Road, he stated his desire to achieve qualification for the Champions League and win the Premier League with the club, then managed by Mark Hughes. Within a year, he'd been relegated to the Championship with the R's after keeping just 6 clean sheets, and eventually moved to Toronto. Meanwhile, Wojciech Szczesny cemented his place as Arsenal's number 1 and proved himself as one of the division's best keepers. Defender, Serge Aurier. Like Arsenal with Jens Lehmann, Man United have largely struggled to find a suitable heir to Gary Neville since he retired in 2011. While Antonio Valencia had a couple of very good seasons between 2016 and 2018, the right-back slot at Old Trafford has been bereft of a long-term solution, with Aaron Wan-Bissaka now expected to end years of mediocrity. But if you guys want to end your years of mediocrity, please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell to never miss a video. Back in 2017, the Red Devils were in the hunt for Ivorian international Serge Aurier, who'd come off an impressive season at PSG, providing 3 assists and creating over a chance a game. However, Tottenham pulled off a £23 million deal and Aurier opted for the Lily-Whites instead. And it was probably just as well. Whilst the fullback had been a very useful player in Paris, he had also become known as a troublemaker, having been found guilty of assaulting a police officer in 2016. Under the tutelage of Pochettino, this kind of behaviour hasn't resurfaced in London, but at Old Trafford, which has been rather chaotic behind the scenes in the last 2 years, he may have courted yet more controversy. What's more, he made just 8 Premier League appearances in 2018-19, kept out of the side by an out-of-form Kieran Trippier. Defender, Eric Dyer. Eric Dyer has had some brilliant moments in an England shirt. While the Three Lions would rather forget their disastrous run in the 2016 Euros, Dyer will happily look back at the moment he shocked fans by standing over a free kick in the dying moments against Russia, and stunned them even more when it miraculously found the back of the net. His nerves of steel came into play again 2 years later when Jamie Vardy needed replacing in the shootout as England faced Colombia in the round of 16 penalties. Up stepped Eric Dyer to comfortably slot home the winning spot kick in England's first ever World Cup penalty triumph. Such heroics on the international stage might have you thinking he's a German in disguise, but it still didn't quite add up when Bayern Munich came sniffing. In 2016, the Bavarians were preparing a €50 million offer for the Tottenham midfielder. 2 years on and the 25-year-old looks limited in the middle of the park. Dyer has failed to keep his starting spot in Pochettino's lineup, starting just 18 Premier League games in 18-19, and featured only twice as a starter in the Champions League. This window could see a huge overhaul at the Allianz, and battling Man City for Atleti's Rodri looks a much better idea than making Eric Dyer your second most expensive signing ever. Defender, fans' choice. The last slot at the back is up to you. Let us know who you think has dodged a bullet in the comments below. Midfield, Jorginho. In July 2018, Chelsea brought ex-Napoli manager Maurizio Sarri to Stamford Bridge, and in tow came Jorginho. The 26-year-old signed a 5-year deal in London after Man City pulled out of the £50 million deal. City had been assured that the player was keen to join the Sky Blues, but ultimately lost out when Napoli decided they would only deal with Chelsea. However, a year on since this deal was hijacked, and Pep Guardiola is probably grateful that it didn't go through. Jorginho has had a tricky debut season in the Premier League as the poster boy of Sarri's less than popular regime. A key figure in the Chelsea engine room, and by no means are we saying he isn't a valuable asset. But a lack of consistency and the displacement of fan favourite N'Golo Kante means Chelsea are yet to truly benefit from the technical midfielder. Chelsea faced the 1920 season with it down to Frank Lampard to work out what is his best fit in central midfield, while Guardiola has another window to find his long-term replacement for Fernandinho. Midfield, Jack Wilshere. One of Arsenal and England's bright hopes at the beginning of the decade, Jack Wilshere's dynamic displays in central midfield drew early comparisons with 2 of the world's most admired players at the time, Andres Iniesta and Xavi. and his stock only rose further when he came up against the pair in 2011, putting in a man-of-the-match display in the Gunners' 2-1 win over Pep's Barcelona in the Champions League at just 19 years of age. Over the next couple of years, links between the youngster and Barca were constant, with Dani Alves urging Wilshere to move to the Camp Nou in 2013. However, Wilshere never came close to reaching the heights predicted for him, with injuries plaguing his career at the Emirates. He never matched the 35 league appearances he made in 2010-11 and played just 3 games in the 2015-16 campaign. But even that wasn't enough to put off Juventus, who made their interest known in 2018 before deciding against a move. Instead, Wilshere went to boyhood club West Ham, where he's earning £100,000 a week to sit on the sidelines. Needless to say, Barcelona were right to wait for the perfect man to come along in the form of Frankie de Jong. Midfield, Kaka. A player who often appears on craziest transfers that never happened lists, Kaka could have made a very strange career move just months before joining Real Madrid in 2009. Man City offered AC Milan £91 million and the Brazilian star £500,000 a week, but were turned down, missing out on a player who had won the Ballon d'Or just 13 months earlier. But the next few years would see the newly moneyed club benefit from the failed transfer. Kaka's career at the Bernabeu never really took off, with injuries limiting him to just 85 league appearances in 4 years. He eventually returned to AC Milan and boyhood club Sao Paulo before retiring with Orlando. Meanwhile, City struck gold in 2010, signing David Silva from Valencia, a move that surely wouldn't have gone ahead had Kaka already been at the Etihad. The Spaniard quickly became a key figure in Roberto Mancini's side and can now claim to be the club's greatest ever playmaker. He's also set to surpass 400 appearances in the 2019-20 season, his last in Manchester. Midfield, Charlie Adam. Charlie Adam now has 156 appearances for Stoke City, having been at the club since 2012, after stints at Rangers, Blackpool and Liverpool. Currently preparing for a season in the second tier, Adam could have been recovering from a Champions League final defeat, should the circumstances in 2011 worked out differently. 8 years ago, the Scotsman had a remarkable season at Bloomfield Road, scoring 12 and assisting 8, and getting nominated for the PFA Player of the Year award and attracting the attention of some of the Premier League's big hitters. He was at the centre of a transfer tug-of-war between Liverpool and Spurs, with the Reds getting their man, but it was Spurs who won overall. Adam's disappointing spell at Anfield proved Spurs had well and truly dodged a bullet, ending his one and only season in Merseyside with 2 goals in 32 games and in Liverpool's lowest league position since 1994. Forward, Michu. The next Dodge catastrophe was back in 2013 when Arsene Wenger started courting Swansea striker Michu. Arsenal were on the hunt for a new forward to please their discontented fans. But after having bids rejected for Wayne Rooney and Luis Suarez, the French coach was forced to come up with a plan B. And that was Swansea's Michu, who was coming off an 18-goal season. The Spanish number 9 had an agreement with Hugh Jenkins, the Welsh club's chairman, that he would be allowed to leave Swansea for £25 million. Luckily for Wenger, the deal fell through and Michu went on to score just 2 league goals the following season. He was subsequently sold to Napoli, where he failed to find the net at all. Now 33, Michu is back in his hometown of Oviedo, where he scored once in 27 appearances. The Gunners instead put that £25 million towards a dramatic deadline day deal with Mesut Ozil, quite clearly a much better purchase. Forward, Mauro Icardi. Even before Cristiano Ronaldo left Real Madrid for Juventus, the question over who would be Los Blancos' next superstar striker was raging on. For a time, Robert Lewandowski was the popular choice, but by 2017, Mauro Icardi was the club's main target, with reports of offers as high as €100 million floating around the rumour mill. But a move never materialised, and Real eventually paid the price the following year, with Ronaldo's departure and a subsequent failure to replace him, resulting in the club's worst La Liga campaign in 17 years. However, things are looking far more rosy at the Bernabeu now, with the capture of Eden Hazard and Luka Jovic expected to bring the goals back to Zidane's side. Meanwhile, with Icardi stripped of his captaincy at the San Siro, his future looks more uncertain than ever. Real are probably better off without the controversial figure, and with the younger Jovic, who could be the club's focal point for the next 8 years if he develops at his current trajectory. Forward, Alexis Sanchez. Since the departure of Sir Alex Ferguson, Man United's recruitment has taken such a hit the Red Devils became reliant on both Ashley Young and Marouane Fellaini and failed to get the most out of their world-class talent. The poster boy of United's demise is of course Alexis Sanchez. The Chilean had been electric at the Emirates, dragging Wenger's side above their station with 34 direct goal involvements in the Prem over the 16-17 season. Before the next campaign began, though, it was clear that Alexis had bigger ambitions in the shape of Guardiola's Man City. But a deadline day deal broke down in the summer window when the Gunners couldn't get a replacement in time. Forced to stay until the next transfer opportunity, Man United swooped in January, offering a swap for Henrik Mkhitaryan. Over a season and a half, the forward has scored a total of 3 Premier League goals. Whilst it's possible that if he had switched side and joined Guardiola, it might have had a very different outcome, it must leave City relieved. And Man United hemorrhaging almost £500,000 a week on a player who made just 9 starts last season. So that was our XI of players that your club made a very good decision in not signing. What did you guys think of the list though? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and I'll see you next time.